Hey, I'm just here to say if you have not already watched part one of my interview with Randy, please go check that out. And without further ado, part two of my interview with Randy Buehler. Well, when you were playing, what was your favorite song to perform?
Uh, Funny. My favorite experiences were definitely the basketball pep band. So
Okay.
I don't know that there's one specific song. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I could pick one. It's probably actually "Hey Baby" is probably the best song because we would sing and we would like change the lyrics up depending on the
Okay.
context. I'll
Mm-hmm.
get there. I'll set it up though. So at Vanderbilt, I was in the football marching band, which I actually chose Vanderbilt in part because I was kind of a sports fan, and so
Okay.
being at an SEC school meant that
Mm-hmm.
all the big football teams would come through, and also if you're in the marching band, then you were allowed to show up for the basketball games. And Vanderbilt was
Oh, okay.
actually good at basketball,
Mm-hmm.
unlike football, where we've never really been able to compete against the SEC teams. Basketball was a sport that we were good enough at, and Vanderbilt would make the NCAA tournament from time to time, would make the NIT. So my freshman year at Vanderbilt, actually, we didn't make the NCAA tournament. We made the NIT, which is like the consolation prize for
Okay.
college basketball in the States. And if you make the final four of the NIT, it's in New York City. It's at Madison Square Garden. So
Okay.
here I am. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
17 years old. Maybe I guess I just turned 18. They
Okay.
fly me to New York, put me up in a hotel just off Times Square, like the Marriott Marquis. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, here's $150 in meal money. I mean, what is this? 1990.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
$150 in meal money. And they're like, we'll see you Monday night at the Garden. Right? It's Sunday morning. They just
Mm-hmm.
turned us loose in New York City. That was awesome. I mean, that was really cool. I wanted show you the nerd that I am. What I did was I went and saw Broadway plays, right? I didn't get in any trouble, but I did. I got into actually it wasn't just Broadway plays. I got into David Letterman, who was the
Okay.
hot late night show at the time, and I got into. I saw a chorus line which was just wrapping up its legendary run. I'm dating myself, but that's fine. And then I think I saw. I think I fell asleep in the back of Cats. Is what I did. Yeah, it's just cold, fell asleep. But yeah, then Madison Square Garden for the basketball tournament. That was awesome. Yeah, so basketball and traveling to postseason tournaments was definitely some of the highlights of my clarinet experience. We made the NCAA's a couple years. It's funny. I mean, if you want more, I got more of this story. There's a pretty
Hey, if you feel it, go for it, Randy. It's okay.
so the Vanderbilt Pep Band has an NCAA rule because of us. We went to our team was the year we were really good. We were like a 3 seed. Billy McCaffrey was the star, and we go fly to where was it? We fly to Denver to play an NCAA tournament game. And the way the tournament would work is there's usually four teams at the same site. So
Okay.
like you would play against your opponent, and then somebody else would play against their opponent, or like it would be 8 teams, and then it would boil down to four on the next day. So one of the other schools that was at the tournament was Santa Clara University out of California,
Okay.
and they didn't have a pep band. So they
Okay.
contacted us because we were playing the other game. We were playing the game right
Mm-hmm.
before theirs, and they contacted us, and they were in the other session, and they
Okay.
said, "How about we make like a donation to a scholarship fund, and you guys play our game as the Santa Clara Pep Band." So we're like, we'll play the Vanderbilt game, and then they sent us shirts. I've still got the shirt that you can do with Santa Clara Bronco on it, and they sent us shirts, and we were like, we get to go to the other two games in our session. We're in. So like those of us in the pep band were like, awesome. We'll go see. We get to go see more basketball games. This will be awesome. So Santa Clara was the number 15 seed, and if you know much about these basketball tournaments, it's like seeded 1 to 16. The 15
Mm-hmm.
seeds basically never win. They had only won once
Mm-hmm.
in the history of the tournament at this point. This is like early 90s. Santa Clara, though, had this point guard who's really good, and they're playing against Arizona, who's the 2 seed. And I mean, college basketball fans maybe remember Arizona famously chokes as the 2 seed. The point guard for Santa Clara that I had never heard of at the time, Steve Nash. Steve Nash, who is now NBA Hall of Fame. He's the new coach for
Mm-hmm.
the Nets. Right. He's Canadian, so he came into
Okay.
college without any real
Mm-hmm.
scholarship offers.
Mm-hmm.
Wound up at Santa Clara, and like we're the pep band. They beat Arizona, like the 15th seed upset the
Mm-hmm.
2 seed, and we're going nuts. We're playing for them. That means we get to be their pep band for another game. Nobody expected us to be playing a second game with the Santa Clara Pep Band. So we come for the second session, and Vanderbilt wins their game again. We made the Sweet 16. And then, like, our game is over, and we all, like, take off our Vanderbilt shirts to reveal these Santa Clara shirts underneath. And the crowd is going berserk. And, like, everybody in the crowd is suddenly a Santa Clara fan. Like, everybody, every neutral, basically, is siding with Santa Clara. I mean, they're kind of fun to cheer for anyway. It's probably with Steve Nash in the 15 seed more than it was us. But we definitely got, like, the cheers as we sort of did the face change of taking off the shirts. So Santa Clara loses, but the Temple coach felt that it was so unfair that Santa Clara got like the Vanderbilt fans and the Vanderbilt Pep Band that they petitioned to the NCAA rule, and there's now a rule: you cannot play for another team if your team is playing in an NCAA tournament site.
Okay.
So it's now illegal to do this. You can no longer hire one of the other teams from your session because John Chaney, the Temple basketball coach, thought this was just a ridiculously unfair thing that Santa Clara got to take advantage of.
You just fired them up too much, Randy.
We did. I had a lot of things on my resume, but NCAA rule in honor of us. That's definitely on the list somewhere.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And as soon as you said Santa Clara, I'm like, is this going to be a Steve Nash story?
Nice. Yes, it was. Not that we knew it at the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. You saw him at that time.
Yeah, I know. It was awesome. Definitely one of the highlights of my college career. You asked favorite song, like "Hey Baby." I remember we would sing, and he was like, "Hey," and there was one ref that we loved to bust his chops, and so we changed the lyrics for "Hey Baby," which we would sing, to "Hey Don," and I just remember like watching Don as he's getting ready to ref the basketball game. It's commercial break, obviously, because we're playing, and just his knees buckle when we did it as "Hey Don" instead. He used to trash talk with our tuba player. It was great. Like we'd be saying, "Hey ref, bad call," and he'd turn around he's like I'm going to take advice from a tuba player wearing Bulls shorts. Come on. He was awesome.
Awesome. Great story. Just, yeah, I didn't know where it was going to go, but it ended like really well. I liked it. All right. We're just going to switch pace a bit. I'm just going to go to some just faster. Feel free to stop me if you want to elaborate.
Sure.
But more rapid fire. So what's your favorite sports team, Randy?
Right now it is the Seattle Storm,
the
women's basketball team in Seattle.
Okay.
They are awesome. They just won the title, actually.
Nice.
Brianna Stewart.
Oh, sorry.
Go
ahead.
In fact, the Sue Bird bobblehead is watching from over here. She's awesome. Brianna Stewart's awesome. Jewel Lloyd. All of them. Alicia Clark's probably my favorite player, actually.
Nice. So are you primarily a basketball fan? Is that your number one sport for watching?
It is now.
Okay.
It used to be baseball. I think they lost me somewhere in the 90s between the strike and the steroid scandal. More specifically, the way they handled it. They kind of lost me. I mean, it was football for a little while, but I cannot deal with like the way in which they've ostracized Colin Kaepernick and the way in which they clearly just don't care about concussions or racial justice. They've kind of lost me. I've gone through soccer phases from time to time. Like the Sounders are fun to go. I like going to Sounders games. I'll watch European soccer sometimes. Right now, I'd say it's basketball. Yeah. I mean, I have season tickets to the Storm. I go to the games. Didn't get to this year. Nice. Obviously, they were in a bubble, but I would have had season tickets. And from an NBA perspective, that's probably the sport I watch the most. I don't know that I have a team, though. Like, our team kind of got stolen. I would say I'm a LeBron James fan, right? I have started cheering for the Lakers the last couple of years, but which, I don't know, part of me feels like, really, am I allowed to cheer for the Lakers? Aren't they supposed to be the bad guys? But LeBron James is just so spectacular to watch. It's so impressive, both as a basketball player and as a person, for that matter. But,
for sure.
Yeah, big time LeBron James fan.
I'm sorry, Randy, but I'm from Toronto, so I can't like LeBron James for obvious reasons. If you're an NBA fan, you know what that man has done to our franchise.
Yes,
but we got the chip. We'll take it.
Yeah, you should. On balance, I think you guys are still like running slightly above average.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the Toronto Raptors have been a solid team for a while now.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and they did, and getting to one ring. So.
Yeah, for sure. What do you prefer, dogs or cats?
I guess dogs. Like I grew up with dogs.
Okay.
My wife's allergic, so we don't have any pets. But I don't know. I feel like I could have become a cat person, except all my actual experiences with dogs.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Spring or fall?
Fall. Spring gets too hot.
That's fair. M&M's or Skittles?
M&M's. I've yet to
What?
find the dessert I thought was too sweet. It doesn't exist.
Okay, so what's your favorite dessert?
Oh, I mean ice cream.
Okay.
Definitely, it's ice cream. I'll go Ben and Jerry's Chubby Hubby flavor specifically.
All right. Nice. One of your favorite movies.
Uh Favorite movies. I mean, The Matrix was awesome. That's I don't know. It doesn't feel like the right answer. All right, here's where we're going. Searching for Bobby Fischer.
Okay.
I'm definitely a sucker for anything where the smart kid wins
Mhm.
out in the end,
Mhm.
and Rounders to some extent has that flavor as well. But that arc, right? The smart kid competing in the
Yeah.
game and winning because he's so smart. That works for me.
Fair enough. Adventurous or relaxing vacation?
Adventurous. Although, I mean, for me, the locations are more adventurous. It's not like I'm a zipline guy, but
Okay,
I
fair
want to go.
enough.
I want to go somewhere exotic, and then I want to
Okay.
do things. Right. The things are probably like museums and shows, but yeah, I'm not. I'm not the chill on the beach and do nothing guy.
Okay. No. Yeah. I'd say adventurous over. Yeah. That constitutes just adventurous for
I
me.
think so.
Uh, Best place you have visited?
Japan's pretty awesome. Like Tokyo a couple times for the pro tour, and
Okay.
then like I remember there's like there's this city south of Tokyo, Kamakura, I think is there's just a whole bunch of temples, and
Okay.
just like wandering the temples south of Tokyo, I have vivid memories of it. There's this one where there's a Buddha and he's just like hanging out outside, and we got there and it's just blue sky
Mm-hmm.
and hanging out, and like you read the history and there used to be a temple around him. Like he was inside, and then a
Mm-hmm.
tsunami came through a couple hundred
Oh,
years
geez.
ago,
Mm-hmm.
literally washed the entire building away. And Buddha's just still hanging out, serene, totally content. That's one of my favorite Japan moments.
Okay. Yeah.
I also got introduced to sushi in Japan, so that's a soft spot for that reason. The sushi there is very good. Sushi everywhere turns out pretty good. Hadn't really been a sushi guy until I tried it in Japan, but
Was it tough to go from? I've never been to Japan. I've only heard good things, but eating sushi there, then coming back, was it kind of a letdown, or was you just like, it's fine?
uh I've learned to only have sushi near a coast.
That's fair.
That's so like Seattle sushi is plenty good. Vancouver
Yeah, that makes
sushi,
sense.
plenty
Hmm.
good. Hawaii has really good sushi as well.
Okay.
So I think because I was coming back to Seattle area specifically, the sushi here is
Okay.
fine. Like, and look, even the grocery store sushi around here is totally reasonable.
Yeah, it's just I guess wherever the source is from, as long as it's fresh, you're
Right,
you're,
right.
you're pretty safe, I think.
I think that's right.
What's your go-to snack at a convenience store?
My go-to snack at a convenience store. I mean, it's probably a Snickers bar. I don't know. It varies. I don't know that there's no one iconic for me. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, it's a Diet Coke, but that's not really the question.
Is there one that's has a special place in your heart from your childhood that you can think of? Like, I don't know.
And
That
then
there just sticks out in your mind.
childhood trip to the convenience store, I was buying a pack of baseball cards.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to scrape together a couple quarters and see if I could buy a pack of baseball cards.
All
So
right.
the stick of gum, is that my answer then? Like
Yes, the
awful
hard
stick of
stick of
gum that
gum.
would come in a pack of baseball cards.
Yes. Okay. Your favorite childhood TV show?
My favorite childhood TV show. Can I say Schoolhouse Rock?
Yeah,
Like
that's
Saturday
fine.
morning cartoons. It
Yeah,
wasn't really
yeah,
the
of
show, it
course.
was the thing that would come on in between the
Yeah.
shows, but
Okay.
Schoolhouse Rock was awesome.
Nice. All right. So we're gonna bring it kind of back to magic, but I'm gonna try to ask you some atypical questions. So, what's one card that either you slept on, you thought it was terrible, or vice versa, you thought was great and everyone else thought was terrible?
I mean, great until everybody else called on Demonic Consultation.
Okay.
It was so powerful that we were the only, like the pro tour that I won. I
Mm-hmm.
played a Necropotence deck, 4 copies of Necropotence, 4 copies of Demonic
Mm-hmm.
Consultation. Nobody else had 8 Necros in their deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm playing a Necropotence deck. I want the skull. Find me the skull.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, people were dabbling. People would have like a couple, but they were scared of it. And I think, I mean, a lot of the credit for that goes to Eric Lauer.
Okay.
But we were the only ones playing with eight necros. So Demonic Consultation was definitely a card that we turned on to faster than other people. I don't know if Memory Jar counts, but I mean, that's also, we were the ones who broke that, and it got emergency banned before anybody else got a chance to have that fun. So definitely another thing on my resume. Card that I was slow on, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty. I mean, at some level, it's like, what did you miss as a developer? Like we missed Skull Clamp is probably one of the first ones that I felt like, oh, oops, we just messed that up. Skull Clamp and then Umezawa Jite as well. Like, it was really tough because equipment was in the spot where it just wasn't good enough. People weren't playing with it in play testing. So we kept trying to make the equipment better to get to the point where people would actually play it in constructed. But then like with Skull Clamp, I forget when it switched. I mean, for a while it was plus power and plus toughness. And then it switched to +1, -1. That's what broke it. Right. Yes. If the card was, there was an awful green enchantment called Bequeathal. The card was initially Bequeathal the enchantment, but it just wasn't good enough. Like people weren't playing it at what is it, +2, +1, or maybe it was +1, +1. But I mean, draw the cards when the creature dies. Yes. And so it's like, oh, clever. What if we make it -1? And just didn't get enough play testing. We actually found it before it got published, but after it was too late.
Yes.
So it was like we're testing the set 2 sets later. We're like, oh God, what did we do? So it was in the FFL decks, but it was too late to actually change the card. So that one, and then Jite bothers me a little bit as well. Jite actually changed as a result of a templating conversation.
Okay.
Like it used to be that it made mana instead of killing creatures.
Okay.
But there's all this weird templating around like what's a mana ability, and like you're removing counters to generate mana. Well, can you kind of put a spell in the stack and then remove counters to get the black mana? But you can't remove counters as a mana ability. So it was a really hard card to put a template around because mana generating abilities are just weird in terms of the way they interact with the stack. So it's like, okay, fine. It doesn't need to be Dark Ritual. We'll just make it, what are we going to make? Negative toughness or something. And so it was just this massive power level bump that, the lead developer for the set, it wasn't me. The lead developer for the set in a templating meeting decided to make this late change. And then I don't think people noticed, or it certainly didn't get tested and caught. So those are the cards that I probably, they're sort of on my watch, right? I was overseeing the whole process. I don't think the Skull Clamp change was me. I don't remember who made the Skull Clamp change, but both of them were sort of, on my watch in R&D. Yes. I'm like, okay, these things got through, which, kind of slept on those. Should have realized those were as good as they were faster than we did.
Cool. Really interesting to hear the development story behind it. Okay, so kind of a question about a card again. Have you ever had a pet card that you really, really wanted to work in decks? You kept on just shoving it into decks, but it never quite worked.
I mean, I feel like I spent years trying to get my Breeding Pit Lord of the Pit deck to work.
Okay.
That was like the first dream. I mean, it's early in my Magic career, obviously, but like Lord of the Pit looked insane. Breeding Pit was how you feed him. I just didn't have the sort of experience to realize, well, this 7-mana Lord of the Pit is already too expensive to play with, and you're going to play Breeding Pit, which is an upkeep of 2, so you kind of need 9 lands now. And my roommate had just discovered there was this card called Sinkhole. It was not that deck never got even close to good, but I kept trying. Definitely kept trying.
That's half the fun, right? Just trying those.
For sure.
Okay. If you could play, you have to pick one deck that you have to play for the rest of your life. That's the only deck you can play. What is the deck you choose?
I mean, decks are so specific to formats. It's a tricky question to answer.
Yeah, it definitely.
Like if I get
enjoyment, I guess.
I don't know how to answer this question. Like Magic is fun when you and the people you're playing with have access to about the same amount of cards.
Yes. Okay. Fair
enough. Right. So like, I could say Necro Summer Necro. That's definitely was a fun deck that I enjoy playing. But like, it only actually works in that era of Magic. Or I have a Canadian Highlander deck I really enjoy. But like, if I'm playing Canadian Highlander, great. I love my Canadian Highlander deck. Right. It's just, I like 100-card singleton. I like the randomness and the replayability you get from 100-card singleton formats. I mean, Commander scratches this itch for a lot of people too, but multiplayer. I've never enjoyed multiplayer as much as sort of heads up Magic. So I feel like,
Yes.
Canadian Highlander gives you this heads up. We're both trying to win. Like, you're allowed to try to win. It's not bad etiquette to actually kill anybody. That's in fact the point. But yeah, you get some really sweet games if you're playing Canadian Highlander. My deck is basically a Just Got Good Stuff deck, right? Okay. It's like, it can be aggro, it can be control-ish, it's got a little bit of everything in there, right? Leads to some really fun games.
Okay. Is there a mechanic or aspect or just something from another TCG, whether it be paper or digital, that you think would improve Magic?
It's funny. I mean, everybody keeps trying to fix the mana system, and they're just wrong. It turns out Mana Screw is good for Magic. So, like, if you gave me a time machine and I could go back and I could change anything I wanted about Alpha, I would not touch it. Like, it is such a glorious miracle that Magic came together and became as awesome that it did. Like, I wouldn't mess with anything. Like, it's, yeah, certainly, I mean, big picture, broad strokes Magic, no, it's such a miracle that it exists and it is as good as it is. I wouldn't want to mess with it.
Okay, that's fair. Is there another TCG, like it's paper or digital, that maybe you felt, I could have seen myself playing that at some point, maybe to the degree that you played Magic?
I've certainly had a lot of fun with, I mean, it's not quite the same thing, but Slay the Spire and Monster Train.
Oh, yes.
They're these like roguelike TCG-like games. Monster Train I thought was spectacular. And Slay the Spire is also very good. I just think that Monster Train does things a little bit better for me. You get a lot of replayability with that game. I also went through and, like, I thought Artifact was pretty good. I was surprised Artifact did as badly as it did.
Okay.
I think they butchered the launch, and that there were some core things in that game that were actually pretty good.
Okay.
I never got into any of the other paper ones. Like, I'm kind of a serial monogamist when it comes to games. So like, I was obsessing about Magic. I wasn't really sampling anything else. I remember I won a box of Doomtown at an event in the 90s. Like, Andon would have these events, and Jeff Donnay always had access to like crazy amounts of products. He was just throwing product at people who were winning events. And so, I mean, that game seemed kind of fun. I don't know, like, whatever. That means I spent a couple hours thinking about how to actually build a deck and realizing I didn't have enough cards to have all of them. Whatever. I'm just going back to Magic.
Okay, Magic for you. All right. And our last question is just, what are some words of wisdom you try to live by?
I mean, I mentioned earlier, I'd leave the world a better place than you found it.
Okay.
Like, whatever it is that you're into, there's probably a way that you can just leave that, especially if it's a thing you're into, especially if it's a thing that you enjoy. Think about how you can make it better for the people that are going to come after you and find the same thing.
For sure. Nice words of advice. All right. So, Randy, do you have anything coming up on the horizon, project-wise, or just something you'd like to share?
Not specifically. I just finished the Magic Online Champion Showcase. That is a thing I hope to be doing more of early next year. So keep an eye out for that. But I always wind up tweeting about stuff that I'm up to. So follow me on Twitter, I guess, is the answer. Just RB.
All right. Yeah, I'll be sure to link your Twitter information in the description of this video. Well, thanks a lot for Randy for coming on today. I had such a great time talking to you and hearing these stories.
Good.
I didn't know where this was going to go, like the whole interview as a whole, but I'm super happy. I know that other Magic fans are going to really enjoy hearing what you have to say. So thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you can. Comment below. Let me know who else I can interview. Like, if please leave a like. And take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next video.